Hello, everyone. Welcome to the stream. Thanks for being here today. I'm just going to be checking up on some gaming news here while we start, but if you have any questions, please feel free to ask them and I'll respond as best I can. Hey, Philip, welcome to the stream. The Druid Grove party can happen at any time. I think what we're probably going to do is we're going to obviously focus on our level up, and that's going to take a bit because, well, I mean, maybe not a long time, but level 5 is obviously a very important level up. But I think we're going to focus more on getting the Teahouse done and then kind of the party to cap off the whole overworld Act 1 type of finale before we head into the Underdark type thing. That's kind of the plan, but yeah, you can certainly do the party anytime you want after the Goblin Camp. But we still have that whole large area of the Teahouse to go through, and you're going to get to see it a couple of different ways because of how we're going to go through it here versus how we're going through it during the Paladin playthrough as well. So get a double dose of Teahouse today. Yeah. Yeah, it can be a long slog through the Goblin Camp. So yeah, I can certainly understand wanting to party it up afterward. But we do still have, a bit of Goblin Camp to deal with. We still have the exterior of the Goblin Camp to clear out and that sort of stuff, so should be a fun time to start off today. Hey, Lord Henry. Hey, Cyber. I appreciate you guys being here. Hey, Smurf. Welcome to the stream. There should be some pretty fun ones today. Like I say, we're gonna get a double dose of some Teahouse things going on today. I'm pretty sure, and then we'll be able to kind of head out and get some big level ups done and that sort of stuff today as well. So it's going to be pretty eventful, especially here starting out. That's what it is, Cyber. Yeah, it's there's a lot. That's what makes this game and all the Baldur's Gate games have been the same way. Is the replayability, the ways to subtly change things that can make really big impacts in other playthroughs later on. It's so many different ways to play these games. And I'm kind of afraid to actually look at Steam and see how many hours I have in Baldur's Gate. I mean, it's obviously not, it's stupid. Crazy. There are obviously a lot of people who have many more hours than me because I do have a full-time job and all that sort of stuff. But yeah, it is kind of crazy. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I've got over 500 hours. Hey, Astamura, welcome. Thanks for being here. I can't wait for you to get into it, Smurf. It's gonna draw you in, just like it's drawn in everybody who plays it. Hey Peter, welcome to the stream. Thanks for being here. Well, I'm glad you're enjoying it, Smurf. That's the real goal here. I'm gonna be playing the game anyway, so if other people can enjoy seeing it being played and maybe learn something as we go along, that's the only real goal I have with my live streams. Yeah, I think, Philip, it's going to be really interesting to see how that dynamic changes as we get into Act 2. Because obviously with early access, you know, with a few hundred hours in early access, a lot, I mean, I'm still learning from other content creators, things that can happen in Act 1, but obviously got a lot of experience here in Act 1, so able to find different ways to do things that people might not have seen who just simply haven't played it for the hundreds of hours I have. But getting into Act 2, it's going to be a reversal, because I have very, very little experience in Act 2, just my personal playthrough that I'm doing, so should be interesting to see how it works out. Hey Darren, thanks for being here, I appreciate it. Well, I have been told that my voice puts people to sleep, so hope it does relax you anyway. All right, we'll go ahead and get ready to get started here. Good ending to the music there. Welcome everyone to today's live stream, episode 13 of our Baldur's Gate 3 Bard gameplay series. I'm Commander Jorval, and I want to thank you for coming along on our journey today. So, on some admin notes. A couple of things game-related. If you didn't catch it this week, Larian did put out some statistics about their what players have done with multi-class combinations in the game, and it's quite interesting to go through it and look at it. The Ranger Rogue combination is the most popular from a single stat perspective, as well as both offsetting combinations. So they kind of have these broken down with like Rogue Ranger being a combination where you have more levels in Rogue and fewer levels in Ranger. But then farther down the list, they also have Ranger Rogue, which is the reverse of that, more levels in Ranger and less in Rogue. But between those two combinations, that Ranger Rogue multi-class, you've got like 265,000 people, player characters who have been created with that multi-class combination. And that just tells you how strong that class is. And it's very popular in tabletop as well. The whole Gloomstalker Rogue build with various different Rogue subclasses is very popular and very strong tabletop. So it's certainly to be understood. However, what's a little bit surprising is the next highest played on that list, and that is a combination of Paladin and Warlock. Honestly, I didn't expect that. The Hexblade Paladin is obviously very popular in tabletop. I just didn't know it would translate to be that popular in the full game. And obviously there's more than just the Hexblade version of the Paladin to play, but the Warlock and Paladin combination is so strong in tabletop. I just honestly wasn't expecting it. And there's almost right at 200,000 players who have chosen that combination in various versions of it, where there's more levels in Paladin or more levels in Warlock. And that's good to see from my perspective. I like to see tabletop builds and the metas that are there, so to speak, being brought over to a game that hasn't really fully implemented all of tabletop, and seeing how those things can get adapted and changed and be viable in the game. It's really fun for me to see from a tabletop perspective. So glad to see all of those, and feel free to head over to Larian's dev forums to check out their posts about all of that and take a look at it. It's pretty interesting to keep up on it. So, from another quick admin note, and I've been looking around and I haven't found any notice of it. My game updated when I ran Steam, and it was a very, very small update. There aren't any patch notes for it on the launcher, so not entirely sure what it was. Patch number 3 I'd talked about last week when it launched on the 22nd, and that was not this. I had obviously updated that before last week's live stream, so I'm not entirely sure what this small change was. It might have just been something just quickly pushed out, not meant to, or meant to only fix one thing in particular behind the scenes. But make sure your game's getting fully updated every time, just to make sure you've got the most current things going on and happening. So, alright, I think that covers us from our admin notes. Oh no, one more. Just to be aware from a channel admin note, just to stay updated, remember this week I'm going to be gone for a family emergency during the middle of this week, so there will not be a midweek live stream. There will, however, be a midweek video that goes up I'm going to record a stream, or record off stream, and put up a 3-hour video that launches on the same day on Wednesday that the Starfield stream normally does. So hopefully that will keep everybody, tide everybody over while I'm gone. But I will be back in time for next weekend's Baldur's Gate 3 live streams. I just will be gone for Tuesday and Wednesday of this week, and we'll return home after that. So I think that gets our admin notes out of the way, so we can jump into a recap. So at the end of last week's episode, we had finished clearing out the inside, well, almost finished clearing out. There's one small, tiny little area that we're not going to touch yet. We had finished clearing out the inside of the Goblin Camp, and we had rescued Halsin. Halsin has since taken off back to the Druid Grove, and we got enough XP for our level up. And this is our okay, interesting. Sorry, I hovered over my save here. And for some reason it didn't update my continue menu, so but this is a very important level up for us. Level 5 is always a big deal when you are single classing characters. There's always a big jump in combat abilities as well as support abilities at this level up. So it's important to go through it here to see how things are going to change for us with this level up. So that's how we're going to start off. We'll just click level up here. Okay, so a bard at level 5 gets two very, very important class features. The first, we get access to level 3 spells. That's important, but from a bard perspective, the other two things that we're going to get here in this level up really up the party buffing ability of the bard. The signature thing that a bard is able to do is going to get a huge buff at level 5. So level 3 spells are obviously great, and we're going to explore those more here in a little bit. But you get Font of Inspiration. Now, Font of Inspiration right now, or our Bardic Inspirations right now, you have to take a long rest to refresh them. Font of Inspiration means that we can take a short rest and get our Bardic Inspirations back. So instead of having just 3 Bardic Inspirations, we now go up in level. That's going to go up to 4 Bardic Inspirations. And now, instead of just having 4 and then having to take a long rest, we can have 4, take a short rest, get 4 more, take a short rest, get 4 more. And then remember, we also have a class feature that allows us to take a short rest by singing a song. So now we really have a lot of Bardic Inspirations available to us for each individual long rest. So it really is a massive bump in the ability of the bard to spread around both combat abilities as well as buffing abilities to different party members multiple times throughout longer combat encounters. The second thing that happens is that our Bardic Inspiration increases from 1d6 to 1d8. So another big jump in the ability surrounding Bardic Inspiration. So being able to cause an extra possible 2 points of damage, another +2 to your hit rolls, that sort of stuff is a huge increase for us. So that's why the Bard getting to level 5 is really, if you're focusing Bard and then you're going to multi-class your Bard into other things, getting to level 5 is one of the more popular ways to go about it, just so that you can get this massive bump to your Bardic Inspiration. Okay. From here, you can start focusing at level 6 with other multi-class options and things like that. But for here at level 5, it's just such a massive increase to what the Bard can do for your party that you want to normally keep level 5 in Bard. So from our spell selection, level 3 spells for the Bard are really about crowd control. So many of the spells here are area focused or multi-enemy focused that it really starts to bring more into line with how the Bard isn't necessarily your huge damage dealing caster, but can be very, very effective at crowd control using the multiple different CC spells that they're going to have available to us. And the most popular ones are Fear, Glyph of Warding, Hypnotic Pattern, Plant Growth, and Stinking Cloud. They all have their benefits in what they can and cannot do and how they do it. Okay, so if you look at them just from a base, looking at the saves and the areas, so Fear is a 9-meter radius. Glyph of Warding can be cast out to 9 meters from you, and it puts a glyph on the ground, which is again an area denial thing. Hypnotic Pattern, again, you can cast that out to 18 meters away from you, and then any enemy that sees it is going to be affected by it. Plant Growth has a 6-meter radius that you can cast 18 meters away. And Stinking Cloud is the same. Okay. So they can, for the most part, with the exception of Fear, be cast away from you to cover an area. All right. Fear operates a little differently than that, but that's what it is. They have radiuses around them that affect multiple enemies at the same time. So the next is the saves. So this is where things get really interesting, because we have a wisdom save for Fear and a wisdom save for Hypnotic Pattern. So Glyph of Warding is a dex save, and Stinking Cloud is a Constitution save. Plant Growth doesn't have a save at all. So you have multiple different options for how you want to focus, or what abilities you would like to be trying to overcome with your spells. So enemies making their saves against your spellcasting DC. You can think about the type of enemies that you might be encountering and think about which spell might be the most popular for the number of enemies that you're going to be facing, and the type of enemies that you're going to be facing. So going over these four, I'm not going to go into a 1,000 details here, because my choice is going to be a little bit unconventional for my Bard here. Fear is incredibly powerful. It's wisdom save based. So, and wisdom is one of those stats that you can affect using other things, like a pommel strike to daze a target and that sort of stuff. But fear, dropping fear down, so in that 9-meter radius, targets drop everything and become fearful. And we learned about fearful before. It must run away from the source of its fear, and it can't take any additional actions. So wherever you're at, when you cast fear, everybody's going to run directly away from you. So that can be very, very useful, especially having something like a swords bard, or where you're in combat more. Cast fear, everybody who fails it runs away from you, and then you're able to focus down more the enemies who are still left around you. But fear is an incredibly powerful spell in its own right. Glyph of Warding is kind of like our Cloud of Daggers, in that it's going to create a glyph on the ground that when an enemy steps on it, that glyph is going to trigger one of multiple effects that you have selected the Glyph of Warding to be. And there are a lot of Glyph of Warding spell possibilities. So you have a sleep version of it. You have detonation, which it pushes everyone back. Once they trigger it, you have a thunder glyph, which does 5d8 thunder damage. And then you have all your standard ones, which are fire, cold, lightning, and acid, which again all do 5d8 damage. So you can cause a lot of damage. It's a 4-meter radius on the ground, so you can use it to block off a decent-sized choke point or area. And especially with things like the detonation ward, being able to push enemies back on if they fail a dex save. With the verticality in this game, placing that on a high bridge and then having enemies move toward it. I have seen enemies that approach a detonation glyph of warding on the ground, and they approach it kind of toward the side, and the glyph detonates and pushes 2 or 3 enemies off of a bridge at the same time in other people's playthroughs. So it can be very situational useful, especially with the verticality in this game. But Glyph of Warding is not to be overlooked, especially simply because it's 5d8 worth of damage in an area denial spot. Hypnotic Pattern is one of those spells that you can drop it in a particular spot. Any enemy that sees that pattern, they are stuck. They cannot take actions, bonus actions, or reactions. They can't attack, they can't move, they can't do anything with it. However, the hypnotize is broken when they take damage, or if one of their allies comes up and helps them. And in the game, enemies help each other by shoving them around. So Hypnotic Pattern is great for stopping a big group of enemies all at once and then allowing you to focus down the individuals who are still left after that. But as soon as you cause damage to one, that enemy's going to shake it off and they're going to have their turn as normal. So kind of like sleep in that respect. Whereas they're going to be incapacitated, but then as soon as you cause damage, they're going to wake up from it, and if you're not able to kill them in one shot, then it becomes less useful at that point. But there is no crit here with Hypnotic Pattern like there is with sleep. Plant growth we've talked about quickly before. A large area, a 6-meter area, and you can cast this up to 18 meters away from you. It's overgrown with plants, and anything moving through it moves at quarter speed. That's a huge drop in movement speed for enemies that are inside of it. And it's not just enemies, but for you and your enemies as well. It's also not a concentration spell. So you can drop it on the ground and you can move on to other things that you might want to do that need concentration. So combining plant growth with something that causes damage over time from an area of effect perspective can be incredibly useful. Overlapping those two things so that they take damage while they're inside of a damage AoE while being able to move very, very slowly trying to get out of it can be a great combination to use. Stinking Cloud is... It becomes, actually, there's a slightly different version of this later on at a higher level. But Stinking Cloud is a Constitution save that creates a cloud, again, in a 6-meter radius that you can cast 18 meters away, that prevents enemies from taking actions. They're just so nauseated while they're inside of it that, very much like Hypnotic Pattern, they just can't do anything. They're just kind of stuck in it until they pass their Constitution save. Okay, so you can see all the level 3 or most of them are AoE. Now we know about Speak with the Dead. Feign Death is a great low hit point protection spell for somebody to cast on them. Bestow Curse is obviously a great thing to have for a single target melee based debuff. I don't normally plan to have this bard at this point be that up close and personal with what they do, but Bestow Curse, basically Bane on steroids type of thing, that you can customize a little bit based on how it inflicts its disadvantage. So can be very, very useful. I am actually going to go with plant growth here. And the reason for that is because I'm going to synergize this with something else that you're going to see here in a little bit. So from a replace spell aspect here, gonna quickly look and see. Okay, I think I'm gonna leave my spells how they are for now. Now you're gonna see something else that happened in one of the hot fixes, and now all the level ups in your party are done sequentially at the same time. You don't have to exit out, select the next character, and then go to level up. It knows that you have multiple available, so it's going to go ahead and just move you right into the next one. So for Pure Fighter, level 5 is where the first huge damage buff comes in, and that is with extra attack. It's the thing everyone waits for at level 5 for all of your martial classes. Gaining an additional attack for your martial classes is huge. Being able to pair that with having multiple actions through the potions of speed or haste just allows you to start stacking your attacks one after another on characters or on enemies, and is just a massive output boost as far as the damage goes. There's something important to realize about extra attack, in that your martial class extra attack features do not stack. And that means that if you took 5 levels in fighter and 5 levels in paladin, you're not going to gain 2 extra attack features once you hit level 10. Those are not supposed to stack with each other. There is an exception in the game right now to that we're going to be seeing a little bit more in the Paladin playthrough, but the Warlock extra attack with Pact of the Blade does stack with the extra attack class feature. So that's the only way right now that the extra attacks stack with each other, is if you're using the extra attack from Pact of the Blade, and that's really, no one's really sure if it's supposed to be that way or not, but it's not an extra attack class feature. It's labeled something entirely different. So people are postulating that that's just the game coding, not realizing it's really the same thing, and because it has two different names. But we're kind of waiting to see if that's going to be taken out at some point as part of a balance pass by Larian. But for now, that's the only extra attack that stacks. Yeah, it does stack. It's just whether or not it should stack. That's kind of the question. Okay, so level 5 for a pure Warlock is where you're going to see Deepened Pact come in. And this is what I talked about just a second ago. Deepened Pact gives you an extra attack with your Pact weapon if you are a Pact of the Blade Warlock. We are not. We are a Pact of the Tome Warlock here. So I believe, yes, we're a Pact of the Tome Warlock here. So we're going to get Animate Dead, Haste, and Call Lightning once per long rest, without using up without using up one of our Warlock spell slots. And having Haste and Call Lightning available to you is incredibly valuable, especially when you can combine Haste with the extra attack abilities that your martial classes are getting. Having him be able to cast those is, again, another boost to your overall party buffing or damage dealing of your party. But like it says there, Blade Pact holders gain an extra attack with their Pact weapon. So that does stack with the extra attack with your martial classes. So we're going to look at our spells and our Eldritch invocations here. So for spells for your Warlock, you have some really, really good choices. Now, the end-all, be-all, go-to, obviously, is Fireball. This is the big damage-dealing AoE spell that becomes available to you at level 3. And it is a perfectly logical and useful choice for any of your damage-dealing spellcasters to pick up. Remember, however, that Wyll, as a Warlock, does not have the Sculpt Spells ability that a Wizard can have, where they can create pockets of safety inside of the Fireball's AoE. So with a Wizard that has chosen the Evocation subclass, and you're able to sculpt your spells, you can cast fireballs on a group of enemies and allies, and only the enemies are going to take damage from it. Wyll does not have that, so when he casts Fireball, he needs to be careful with where he casts it so that he's not causing damage to your party, because it is everything in the vicinity. That is inanimate objects, that's enemies and party members. So with that being said, it it's still extraordinarily useful. I'm just going to hold off on this for one spell selection and go a different way. So another thing that's incredibly popular for the first level 3 spell is Counterspell. Counterspell is incredibly useful. It's going to become even more useful when you get into Act 2 and Act 3. Counterspell almost becomes a necessity for some of the encounters that you're going to have at the higher end of things. Being able to nullify an enemy's spell cast that can cause a huge amount of damage or a huge problem to your party from a debuff perspective is incredibly useful. And being able to use a reaction to do it is incredibly useful. So Counterspell, again, I'm going to be selecting it. I'm just not going to be selecting it at this particular time. What I'm going to go with is the Hunger of Hadar. Now, this is, like I say, a little bit of an unconventional approach. And the reason I'm going to do this is because I'm going to synergize this with my Bard spell selection. I told you that I chose Plant Growth earlier. So I'm going to be able to cast Hunger of Hadar over an area. And they're going to be taking 2d6 cold damage at the start of their turn. And they're going to take 2d6 acid damage at the end of their turn, depending upon their saves. Creatures within that area are blinded. So at that point, they are having disadvantage on attack rolls. And attack rolls against blinded creatures have advantage. This is not like darkness, where we can't see into it at all. We can see into it and make ranged attacks just fine. So that's one of the benefits of this. And if I pair this with Plant Growth, I can keep enemies in that sphere of damage longer and give me more opportunity to have these attacks against them and their disadvantage on attacks against me outside of it. So, not the most conventional approach to spell selections here starting off, but I think the synergy here is going to add a lot of options for me from a playthrough perspective. So, that's my spell selection that I'm going to pick here. For Eldritch Invocations, we have a few options here. Now, Devil Sight for a Warlock multi-class with a martial character is incredibly useful, because you can have a Paladin Warlock multi-class with Devil Sight. You can wade into a group of enemies, and then you can have one of your support casters cast Darkness around you. All the enemies that come in to try and attack you have disadvantage on their attacks, but because you have Devil Sight, you can see normally inside magical darkness. So you're able to attack normally against all the enemies in it. So having Devil Sight as an invocation for a multi-class Warlock Paladin or Warlock Fighter or Warlock something else can be extraordinarily useful. It can also be useful for your Pact of the Blade Warlocks, where you're more interested in being melee based anyway. Being able to fight in darkness with Devil Sight is incredibly useful. For the rest of them here, there's a couple that are going to use Warlock spell slots, which it can be useful. Again, Bestow Curse and Slow can be very useful. Slow is, again, target up to 6 creatures, and their movement is reduced so that they can't move as fast, and their armor class and dexterity saves are also reduced by 2 as well. So can be a very useful CC type of ability. But they do use Warlock spell slots to cast them. So this basically is giving you an additional spell, basically, at this point. So Armor of Shadows has been here forever. You can cast Mage Armor on yourself. However, if you're wearing any type of armor, Mage Armor is not going to work. So Beguiling Influence gives you proficiency in Deception and Persuasion, which can be nice if you're using your high Charisma Warlock as your main conversation character. With my Bard, I'm not doing it, so me gaining proficiencies in that is not all that great. Fiendish Vigor is basically free false life. It gives you 7 temporary hit points. You can cast it at will without expending a spell slot. So this can be very useful as well, just to get 7 temporary hit points when you're in combat and not having to expend a spell slot to cast it. Mask of Many Faces is the Disguise Self spell. It doesn't cost a spell slot to do it. We have an item that allows us to do that from the digital deluxe edition of the game, so this becomes not as useful. One with Shadows is a class action that allows you to become invisible as long as you don't move, you don't attack, you don't cast another spell, you don't take any damage or anything like that. It's one of those panic actions where you're down to 2 hit points, you're surrounded by a bunch of enemies, so now you just turn invisible and hopefully let them move away from you and go towards somebody else so that you can then kind of get a reprieve a little bit. And then when no one's around you anymore, Misty step away or move to some other location away where you're able to heal up or do whatever. And then Thief of the Five Fates allows you to cast Bane, again, using a Warlock spell slot. So my choices here, from the perspective of not wanting to use a spell slot for anything, become fairly limited. Sign of the Ill Omen with Bestow Curse, again, with Bestow Curse being a melee range. You have to walk up and touch somebody to do it. Slow is probably the most useful out of all of the 3 gain a free spell and use a spell slot invocations to take. Slow is, like I say, a good CC type of ability for slowing enemies down, and that sort of stuff. So for me, what I'm getting a little tired of is not having Speak with Animals available to me all of the time. And I know using an invocation on that is kind of a waste, considering you can make potions to do that. But for right now, remember, we can also respec our characters. We're going to be doing that with Wyll. And for right now, the choices for me are between Fiendish Vigor to be able to get 7 temporary hit points whenever I want, and Beast Speech. That's really the only 2 that make sense for my playthrough. So I'm just going to take this for now, just so I have Speak with Animals available to me at all times. But it's going to be respec'd out of this once we have more access to the potions as we go. So from a spell perspective, I think we're still okay with these. I'm just looking real quick. Yes, we're still okay with those. So for your rogue, a pure rogue here gains Uncanny Dodge. Uncanny Dodge is not to be underestimated. Basically, it's a free 50% damage reduction. Even whenever an attack hits you, you only take half damage from it. So don't sleep on Uncanny Dodge here at level 5. It is an incredibly useful ability to have, and one of the more powerful rogue abilities to have. So going pure rogue up to level 5 to get Uncanny Dodge is a very, very popular way to go about playing a rogue, even if you were going to multi-class that into something a little bit later. And that's kind of the difference between the two playthroughs I've currently got going on live stream, in that this is the reason I wanted to play this multi-class a little different. Astarion's going to be multi-classed, but I wanted to show you here what level 5 gets you as a pure rogue before I multi-class Astarion, as opposed to the Paladin playthrough I have where Astarion's already multi-classed into Ranger. I could multi-class here and start going down the Ranger line as well here. However, I want to be able to showcase how useful having Uncanny Dodge is, especially in the later game, and that's why it's not so important to take it as much up front as early as we're going to take it, because the damage that we're going to be getting inflicted individually normally isn't going to be enough to one-shot us or to nuke us from most perspectives, which Uncanny Dodge would help prevent. But we're going to be getting into some fairly hairy situations in Act 2, and Uncanny Dodge can be incredibly useful with how you want to play Astarion. Okay, so that gets me my level ups, and looking over my action economy, we still have one short rest left, and we're still good on our spells here. You can now see that we have 4 Bardic Inspirations. Remember, we have our Song of Rest, which allows us to take an additional short rest. So we have 4 Bardic Inspirations. 1 short rest gives us 8. The Song of Rest gives us 12 Bardic Inspirations that are now available to us before we have to take a long rest. So now where I was previously a little more stingy with my combat inspirations, now not so much. Now I'm going to be spamming them out all of the time because I can just get them all back on a short rest. Okay. So now just quickly taking a look around here, we are going to just do some searching here to start, and we get the line breaker boots. So we'll look at those here in a second. I am encumbered, so I guess I do need to have... Lae'zel's going to be encumbered here fairly shortly as well.
Enough waiting. I crave blood.
Okay, so we have a prison key over here, which isn't going to be very useful.
Without delay.
Definitely taking those ears for the potions of speed that come with them. Okay, and don't forget Wargfang here in this pile of bones. And we're going to go over a couple of these things here in a second after we finished walking around here. That lever simply opens the gate. This lever opens this gate, but Halsin already took care of that. Okay, so inside this storeroom, we do have a chest here that has some healing potions in it, and we have some other stuff that we can search. And there's a lot more camp supplies in here as well. And be careful what you're swinging your sword at. Again, fire wine barrels in here and that sort of stuff. So watch what you're hitting. Okay, prison key again. What that's going to do is up here.
Curious.
Okay, the prison key is going to unlock this door. We have your equipment chest and your evidence chest. If you get arrested, this is where your items are going to be. And now moving in here, you have some rather interesting stuff laying around in here. So we do have some spider cocoons. So looking and seeing, dropped an acid vial, dropped a skull on there. So again, can't reach these. However, if you do try and shoot them down, they're going to take damage just like anything else. So your acid vials and potions of healing, if you can't reach them, you can't reach them. It just is what it is. Okay, so we do have... Oh, is that outside? Yes, it is. So we have a dead elf here.
Decaying legs protrude from the hole. A failed escape, it seems.
Oh no. Oh no. Our first roll of the day is a nat 20.
It seems the tunnel collapsed mid-dig and suffocated him. A crooked heart is embroidered on his left shoe. The body comes loose, revealing a tunnel. Perhaps you can escape where he failed.
Okay, so this is part of those if you get arrested type of things. How do you escape your cell situations?
Still alive, so that's progress.
And we can cast Speak with the Dead on the elf here.
The corpse regards you lifelessly.
Heading to Baldur's Gate. Didn't hear Goblin Patrol. My son Garland did it. If I ever missed him, could look down and remember him. Teaglin, carpenter, father of 2. Goblins took my friends, cut them up for the wargs, for meat. Digging too quickly. Felt tunnel collapsing. Kept going. Better dead than warg meat.
The spell's power wanes. You can ask no more questions.
So I certainly understand that. They're gonna be you've seen your friends cut up and fed to the wargs, then I would certainly take any chances I could get. So,
Still blocked. This should be easy enough to clear.
okay, so this has changed slightly.
Oh, enough waiting. I crave blood.
Just so.
Still blocked. A little extra force should clear the
Okay.
way.
Alright.
Looking ahead.
So you have to attack the
Here goes
mysterious
nothing.
hole, I guess, to open it up. Okay. And you can see where you end up. You end up out here in this antechamber, which we used to use this door to get down into the warg pens. So it brings you up right over here in this corner, and it's good that it does that because you are somewhat sheltered from the goblins who were in here when you come out.
Sharp as ever.
So now I'm going to say I didn't think you could do that. I'm going to utilize my newly found speak with animals ability.
The foul stench of slaughter turns suddenly sweet through the rat's nose. Blood smell, life smell. Not like the great hollow below, which smells only of death.
Okay. So having that available to me is, like I say, just going to be playthrough useful.
Love surprises.
In tabletop, things would be a lot more interesting with speak with animals. So, but in the game, they've just added so many animals that you can interact with. It's still incredibly useful. So the sarcophagus here, you can pick up and move the lid slightly and have access to the skeleton underneath. So don't forget that when you're in there.
Let's get going.
And I believe I've searched all of these. Yes.
Moving.
Okay, so the inside here has been cleared out. There's one area that we have not been, and that is through the door in Priestess Guts chambers. We're going to come back and do that. That's going to be the way that we use to enter the Underdark. But for now, I'm going to head up the ladder here. I believe... Oh, I haven't... Yeah, this was where I messed this up, right?
I should speak up.
No, no! Please! Oh, don't hurt me! You are? I need to get out of here. Thank you.
The lock clicks and opens.
Thank you. I better go before they catch us. I should be able to make it to the grove on my own. They need to know they're in danger. Yes. It should be here somewhere. They said there was a hidden passage underneath this temple. The place was supposed to be abandoned, but when we arrived, Brian had instructions, but goblins got him. They said they'd eat him. I have to go. I have to get out of here. I don't know. The boss didn't say. He just said some wizard called Larian would reward us if we found it. That's all.
Okay. So we did get an inspiration there by freeing him, and you want to make sure that you free Liam before you leave.
Might be useful.
Oh, action, not reaction.
And I can just pick up these random weapons here just to sell off. Nobody to see us steal now.
Have a lot on my mind. And, well, in it. Have to keep going.
A hero at heart. 2 steps at a time. Let's chew the fat.
The rat's nose twitches impatiently. Her teeth bite air as though it is flesh, but it doesn't sate her hunger.
Oh, hey, Jerry. No, we had used the helm
All's well that ends
to
as bad as it could have.
change my shape so we could cast Speak with the Dead. I just haven't gone through and removed it. But yeah, you certainly can. You can use the helmet to cast Speak with the Dead on enemies that you've killed when they normally wouldn't talk to you.
Wonder if the gods are watching me.
Okay, so remember we spent some time outside clearing out the collapsed corridor for a reason. And that's because we're going to exit this way. And the reason we're going to exit this way, remember we've cleared out this entire upper area before we went in. Oh, I guess... Okay, yeah, the two... that's a interesting rendering bug. But the two bugbears we didn't because they were not one shot from where we were. So hopefully his detection cone is... They're not rendering a detection cone for that. But now everybody in the Goblin Camp is hostile. Okay, so everybody out here is instantly hostile towards you. So keeping the high ground is, again, incredibly useful for this thing. But there is a reason that I was stockpiling shovels, right? That was not all 6 shovels, was it? No. Okay. So I am going around to all of these little hidey holes here. And I'm throwing a shovel on top of them.
Alright. Time to skulk about.
Okay, and...
Have to keep going.
It's a little hard to see. There's another one here.
Softer than a whisper. These boots have seen everything.
Okay, and I've got 2 more over here.
If everyone else minds their business, I'll be fine.
Okay, and I think that's it. I can't remember if I've missed one or not. It's been a while since I did this in early access, so I think I've got them. I thought there was one more up here in this corner, but I don't see one. Okay. So we explained early on what these little holes were. They connect to holes down here that allow the goblins to make their way up here by basically fast traveling. They tunnel from here up to here, and they can get up to this upper area really quickly. Otherwise, the only way to get up here is for them to climb these vines and come around this way up to here. You can throw certain heavier items on top of these and block them off. Like you can throw barrels and that sort of stuff on top of them. However, you can also throw shovels. And shovels will block them off so that they can't be used, and now the goblins are going to have trouble getting to you up here on this upper level. So that's why I was stockpiling them, is just to cover up these hidey holes here. So you can see kind of a different way in how this combat works when they're not able to just run right toward you and dash and come up these hidey holes. So for now, what we're going to do is we're going to take Lae'zel over here, and we're going to see what we can do with these two bugbears.
Steps.
Okay, so 27 hit points. So they're sleeping, so I'm going to get a crit. Okay. So again, not a one-shot as we expected, but now you can see what happens with her extra attack, so to speak. Your actions are now going to glow with an outline. And that outline you can now see if we hover over it. You can see it's got the extra attack in red next to it. So I'm able to use my extra attack now to using any of these particular actions to do damage to them. So what I'm going to do is kind of move myself right here in the middle. I'm going to use my extra attack here. And yes, I do have cleave. We have 6 hit points left here. They are surprised. So I've got a free set of actions here. And I can hit both of them with cleave. Okay, that removes him entirely. And now that I've made the kill, I have Great Weapon Master bonus attack available to me. Okay, and now my action here. Okay. And now you can kind of see how powerful things can get with extra attack and Great Weapon Master. So remember the Great Weapon Master passive. This is going to give me the plus 10 damage with a minus 5 penalty when it's toggled on. However, the secondary ability of Great Weapon Master, which is I get an additional attack whenever I kill or crit an enemy, that's always on no matter what. Okay. So An easier way to go about that would have just toggled this on because they're sleeping. I'm going to make the attack succeed anyway, and I get a bonus 10 damage, but that helped you illustrate all of the different things that go along with Great Weapon Master and how it works with extra attacks. So you're able to just stack damage on damage on damage here with those two things. So again, just something to keep in mind as we're going here. So now I'm going to kind of maneuver myself around a little bit here. And remember, we've already cleared out a bunch of the goblins due to poisoning their grog down here. So that's already going to make these encounters quite a bit easier. And I've got Booyog Piddle sitting out here. Booyog Piddle only has 13 hit points. Okay, so with advantage, 96% chance to hit. I'm not worried about turning on Great Weapon Master here. Not with that percent to hit and only 13 hit points. Okay, and then what happened there? Did I just knock him into another dimension or something?
Battle has taken its toll. I should rest.
Okay, so I rolled low, and that's why it wasn't a one hit. He got surprised, he lost surprised, he was surprised, then he just disappeared. So something strange happened there, not entirely sure. Like I say, we'll just say that Lae'zel knocked him into another dimension or something, because he had 13 hit points and I only did 11 points of damage. It rolled initiative for me. You saw the initiative get rolled, but he just disappeared into the ether. So it wasn't a one-shot. But guess it had the effect of being one when it knocked him into another dimension or something. So
Keeping my head down.
okay, so I'm going to bring Astarion up here. And we're going to trigger things with Astarion as usual. And kind of start this off here. So Tracker Clag and Gar Gurgan, I'm not going to worry about Gurgan at all. As far as causing damage. Wait, that hole. You are so close. Here. I think my line of sight's gonna be impeded over here by this structure, but we'll see. Yeah, path is interrupted here. That might work. Okay, so it does find one... No, that path is interrupted as well. And I'm having to pass hide checks there. So, let's start over here with Tracker Tack instead. Okay, so there is one little tiny pixel. Nope, it says path is interrupted. Even though I can make a regular attack, I can't make a sneak attack. I don't think it matters, though. Okay. So, now we've triggered everybody down here, but we've blocked off their access to get up here. So now we can kind of go about things however we want. So we're going to hide here.
They will now outbid them.
And we're going to get a sneak attack against Gergen. Okay, and now we're going to hide again, and we can just move back from the edge.
I'm guessing.
So that they can't see us.
Staying out of sight.
Okay, so for the rest of this, it's really just seeing who we can eliminate from the fight
Light steps.
as we go. So a 94% chance to hit here. Perfectly fine. So the next two in line are Brawler Tiny, who is over there, and Devout Mezca, who's all the way down there. So not really worried about either one of them. So when I think my extra, yeah, it's gonna have to wait until my initiative comes up.
Nice and
So
quiet.
now here,
On my way.
let's move out here and see if we can get any range shots on Brawler Tiny here. I think it's probably going to be out of range from there, but it is high ground, so let's take a look and see. Okay, so I do have a 95% chance even with the disadvantage. Offset. Of course. Well, we knew that was coming. We had our nat 20 early on, so to be expected.
Quiet as a moonbeam.
Oh, come on. Okay, and remember with the level up for Wyll from 4 to 5, I now have 2 Eldritch Blast beams that are able to be independently targeted per turn. And yeah, I can't reach him. Okay. So now back here to Astarion, we're going to end our turn, and these two are going to try and move into range, and they're going to dash.
Crush the bull bag!
Okay. So, moving up now, I should have... Boy, the options here are just not great. I'm wondering why it's trying to move me over there. Can I not see from here? I want to utilize my extra attack here, but I'm afraid if I move here, I'm not going to be able to see down there.
Taking
We'll see what
position.
happens, I guess. Yeah, path is interrupted there. Yep. So, looks like that was a mistake. So, not going to be able to use anything here for her second attack, so
Where do I go from here?
that was just a movement mistake, but one, like I say, kind of anticipated there. Okay, and for Will, I'm going to Hex Strength again here. That's reapply Hex. Okay. Yeah. Like, why was it saying I didn't have enough actions? And then just move him back out of the line of sight. Okay, so moving in.
Yes, here.
Oh, jeez. Come on, Astarion, you are so close. No, can't get a sneak attack against him. Sometimes these ranges are just a little strange. Okay, so let's see if we can...
No time for mercy.
Okay. So he's frightened. That's good. We'll cast Combat Inspiration on Lae'zel.
Victor's path. Making my move.
Okay, so that was another movement mistake, it looks like. Path is interrupted on all of these. Sometimes being able to look over and around these parapets can get a little wonky. So that's why these areas are always the best ones for you to try and get to if you can. I could Misty Step over there, but like I say, I'm not too worried about it because of the fact that they're just kind of stuck down here.
I will not know failure.
Yeah, so see, I could shoot over it right there, but yet I couldn't cast a spell over it right there. Like I say, it can get a little strange, so, on some of these and how they work. What was that? Okay, I don't know why the camera focused back up there anyway. So I'm going to move her back out of line of sight again. And you see, they're all dashing around, but they're not able to get anywhere. Because the ways that they would be trying to climb up here are blocked off. Okay, so that kind of is what gives you the advantage here. Let me see if I can get... So it will give me an attack here.
Time for a new approach. Excellent. The subtle approach.
No! No, no, no! No, no! Did they change this from early access? Oh, those little... Okay. Come on, Larian. There's no way they would have done that. Did I just not have that thing lined up right or something? It's laying right on top of it. Oh, that would be one of those horrible things that that they fixed. I mean, that doesn't even, well, I guess if I'm thinking about it from an RP perspective, maybe that's a little exploity. But come on. That's a little, I don't know. That's a bummer either way. Because I was looking forward to illustrating that. I haven't illustrated it since one of my very first playthroughs.
This is my time.
Okay, so I'm not entirely. I think I'm just going to save Wyll's turn. If they're all down here, then that means they're all going to want to come up here. And that means they're all going to want to move up here. But they're going to have to dash to be able to get to me, except for the ranged. Looks like they're all melee. So they're all going to have to dash to get up here. So I'm just going to save Wyll's turn. And I'm going to save Lae'zel's turn as well.
On the move.
Yeah, it's just a shame that it doesn't work anymore. That's too bad. I wonder if it still works with like larger items. Maybe they just changed the way shovels as an entity work. And I wonder if like the barrels and the crates and that sort of stuff would work. But either way, I'll have to replay it during off stream. And see if I can get it to replicate. Another good thing that I was able to do in the previous live stream is you can. Oh, and I knew I forgot one. He moved up here. Oh, he might have just come up from one that I already had covered up over here. But one of the other things you're able to is you can cover up all but one. And you can cast Cloud of Daggers on top of it. They'll all just try and run up and use that thing, and every one of them that comes up through it will just get killed by the Cloud of Daggers immediately as they appear. So there's several different ways to take care of it, to handle it, so to speak. So I'm going to dash. I don't think I'm going to be able to get a shot down to here. Oh, I can. Okay, broke concentration. That's good. Now I'm going to move as far around as I can over here.
Outmaneuver them.
Okay, so for me, I would like to be able to get a shot down here. To do that, I would have to move over there. So let's hold my turn and go to Wyll first. Because you can definitely take out one if it hits. Possibly. Oh, wow, they both. That's what I get for talking. Oh. Roll a 3 and a 3. Nice. I like it.
Making my move.
So I'm going to move back Might as well... No, it doesn't matter. This is going to be over next turn.
Time to strike.
I do have enough movement to get over there. So one...
Is your end.
Wow.
Survival is all that matters.
I will ascend.
Well, we were right about the rolls, everybody. Okay.
Never a dull moment.
This is my time.
Okay, so from here, again, I would like to be able to get a shot on the Devout, but I don't know if I'm going to get Path Interrupted over here. Let's just move up and we'll see if it will give me a path here. Okay. Okay, well, I think I'm going to be able to get range shots on all of those no matter what. A 3. That's becoming popular. It's a popular role today.
Favors the fearless.
Okay, so let's see if we can move back here. Alright. So, a little bit uglier than I wanted it to be, but... and I can't pick all those up. Let's do my searching here with Wyll instead.
This better be good.
Okay, and here, don't forget that Grat the Traitor you can loot after you've killed him. He's going to have one random set of armor normally on him that you can pick up, but the Revivify scrolls are also very important.
Ever onward.
Yeah, Jerry, I'm gonna go play with it and see if they've... I know the barrels and the crates here, the trunks, they've always worked, but shovels worked during early access. It was so much easier to carry them around than to carry around the heavy trunks and that sort of stuff. So that's why I always just stockpile them to illustrate it, but I'll play around with it and see, because another option is plugging up the holes down here at the bottom, and I'll experiment with it, because again, I don't know if maybe they just changed it so that the ones up top don't work but the ones down here still do, or vice versa, and that sort of stuff. So I'm gonna do some experimenting with it and see off stream kind of how things work.
On my way.
A festering bubo. I mean, that is a... it certainly is an insult. I actually should have not done it that way, because his detection cone is probably going to prevent me from hiding, but I can get around behind him really easily, I think. I can move 27 meters. Yeah, because I'd have to jump across this. Let's just move all the way around this side. Go into hiding here. Easy enough.
Wish I had a bag of holding.
Okay, and now there's a whole lot of stuff
The hero at heart.
to be picked up here, because remember, we killed all of the enemies out here, but we didn't loot any of it. And that... No, not this one. I'm keeping an eye out for another item here as well as we go. So that arrow will go to Astarion.
Easy enough.
And a bunch more camp supplies that we can now take freely.
One move ahead.
And there's going to be a whole bunch of camp supplies here. You also have to be a little careful about what is on this rack, because there are other things on this rack that you do not want to pick up. Well, you can, but they're not going to be of any use. So using left alt to highlight the camp supplies is good, because you also have roasted dwarf leg here, which is not a camp supply. You don't need to pick it up. Almost forgot tracker pulley here. Tracker Kagha died standing up. There's the dwarf's poem. Okay, so this is the poem that Brian had, the dwarf, that they cut him up and put him on the spit down there. And this talks about finding a door under the temple. Think the moon's turn, but which way? And this updates your quest journal for Find the Night Song. So now Finding the Night Song says, it mentions a door under the temple. What is hidden beneath the Goblin Camp? And this is the way that we're going to end up entering the Underdark and progressing toward that quest. Just not right this second. Okay, so for the most part, that's going to clear out where there probably are some other camp supplies and that sort of stuff around here. Yes. That we can look at. And you can go back over here to Trader Grat's area, and there's all sorts of other stuff that you can pick up here. Just for selling purposes. Because his idea of keeping everything organized was just to throw it all over the ground, it seems. And you can search the crude chest. There are some open crates which are going to have some, and some wooden crates which are going to have some additional things in them. But again, it's just stuff that you're looking to sell at this point. So we've already explored the outer environs.
I've got a long road ahead.
Okay, so yes, of course I will indulge in playing the music box for you. That's not a problem. Crusher is still... We still have a couple of wandering goblins out here that we'll want to take care of. So...
Don't want to draw any attention.
Like a wraith.
I'll be a big old boy.
And you certainly can shove him off. And, you know what, it's not like we need to
All right.
care about his loot. So, easy enough. Knock him into the river and he's dead. Now what that does is, just like everything else, you're not going to be able to loot enemies when you do that. So, that's why I said, like I say, it didn't really matter if we miss out on his loot. So,
I need to rest. The sunset can't come quickly enough.
Don't waste a step. Free for the taking. Very well.
and I'm not too worried about the rest of the individual goblins that are roaming around out here. So I'm not going to go sneaking around. If I get seen, I get seen, but I do know that Crusher is out here on the bridge.
Can't even enjoy a drink in peace.
And you have the same options with Crusher here. To knock him off into the river, if you would like.
Hope your soul is in good hands.
It has it.
But again, I'm not too worried about any of the remaining goblins that are out here.
Over here. With pleasure.
Time to press ahead.
Whoops, that was a mistake. I should have cast Disguise Self first.
The corpse regards you lifelessly.
Oh, okay, so it's going to allow me to do it. So remember, Crusher was the one that we persuaded to kiss our feet.
No, not kissing you anywhere. Absolute is forever. Still punished. Of course not. That's disgusting. Towering magic. You wait. Absolute will make you pay.
The spell's power wanes. You can ask no more questions.
So, and Crusher has Crusher's Ring, and this is why you don't want to knock Crusher off into the void somewhere. Okay, so Will's now encumbered. Okay, so Crusher's Ring is just a straight 3-meter movement speed bonus, which can be useful for anybody, but especially for Lae'zel, having things that are going to increase her movement. It's going to be very useful because with multiple attacks and the Weapon Master all-in bonus attack, being able to move around between different enemies to utilize those different attacks is very important. You don't want those to go to waste. You want her to be able to utilize those as often as you can. So, upping her movement speed is very, very important. Okay, now as you progress past the bridge, you want to start going into hiding now. Because as you get up here, you're going to run into this group of goblins that we've known about previously, and you're also going to run into the goblins at the gate over here. And there is... some of the goblins are patrolling up here, and their detection cones are going to overlap some of the areas down here. So you can safely move up to the top of the stairs. And then I'm going to toggle the group. You can see there's one more patrolling goblin, and I angered everybody.
Let's have a little.
I wasn't expecting her to come down. Sharp Eye Sluck patrols all the way up here. And when I didn't see her, I didn't expect her to come down. Or to come down here that quickly. So, but now we find ourselves in a very interesting situation here. And what I'm going to do is move my other characters back. I'm going to move Lae'zel over here and move Wyll back here as well. Going to get in attacks with Astarion, and then I'm going to move him back. And I want Astarion to move back here as far as he can. I want them all to dash towards me. And I want them all to come right through here. Okay, now it doesn't matter if Lae'zel's been seen or not.
What now?
What I'm interested in doing now is blocking off this area here. Okay, and again, with plant growth, you can see just how big an area plant growth can affect. Okay, it's not a small area. So you can block off a lot of different locations with this. Okay, now again, plant growth is not concentration. It stays. Oh, and it broke that stupid barrel. Okay. I guess we won't slow them. I guess we will just cause damage to them instead. Okay, and now Wyll has concentration on this, so I want to keep him back out of the way so he doesn't lose concentration on Hunger of Hadar as we're going through this. So the intent is to cloud this, or to put plant growth in here, and I can cast it again after the fire burns out, to slow everybody's movement and keep them in this sphere to allow Hunger of Hadar to work longer. Okay, so that's kind of the intent behind this. This is what I talked about during the level up, the synergy that you can get. And now you can see, because targets are blinded in there, my ranged attacks have advantage against blinded targets. Okay, and I still get extra attacks with ranged weapons.
Time to push my luck again.
Absolute blessings!
So Astarion again is just going to get off attacks here. So remember, with Hunger of Hadar, they take damage at the start of their turn and at the end of their turn, possibly, depending upon their saves. So I have another 2d6 of cold damage coming up immediately against him. So I think this should cause enough damage to be able to kill him, even if it doesn't kill him outright. Might as well just kill him outright. And now I will move Astarion back here
On the way.
and let them come to me. And then we rinse and repeat. So He's dead at the start of his next turn. He's going to take some more damage, so are these two, but let's try and damage them both enough. And now what I'm going to do, I don't have an action left, so I'm not going to be able to do it. Yes, I can't because I don't have my action left. That's fine. I'm just going to move out here to be able to absorb any attacks with Lae'zel that of enemies that are coming through here.
I won't give in.
Okay, so here, 8 and 13. So the fire surface, I can't tell how much longer it's going to last. Let's at least cause disadvantage here. Okay.
This is my time.
And now Wyll, where's his Eldritch Blast range? So he doesn't have to move up very much farther, so we'll just move him up here. See if we can get close enough for a couple of these. Easy enough. And then again, I'm going to move him back. So some high ground attacks from the archers. Not a problem. Okay, so he's blinded. So it looks like we've got some issues with their detection cones, so I'm going to try and take advantage of that, I guess.
Leave no trace.
Okay, so I'm not, because it is too dark inside of there, why my hide is offsetting the disadvantage penalty. He's dead. He's dead. So the warg is going to be alive after this. And I love the fact that they are all just bunched up right there. So now, where are we with a 70% chance there for any of our attacks to land? We go Great Weapon Master, see it drops it down to that 45. So we're going to try and end this warg here. One left. Come on! Killing me, Smalls. Was hoping to get another attack in on one of these two over here, but like I say, I love how bunched up they are. Because, yeah, that's gonna hurt. Took out 3 out of the 4.
Have to keep going.
On the victor's path.
Now, Will, I'm not too worried with just the few amount of enemies we have left, whether or not he ends up having this get dropped because of concentration. So let's start moving him up a little bit.
Cover me! I'm going for the alarm!
Please do. Okay, so I'm just analyzing where he can get. I obviously don't want to move him into the hunger cloud.
This way. Break them.
Okay, so Cloud of Daggers at the start of his turn ended that. So now I just have those two left. So we're gonna utilize this turn to drop
No holding back.
the concentration on the Hunger of Hadar so that we can move our way around there. I could jump across here. That's interesting.
2 steps at a time.
I can attack him from down below. Path is interrupted there, kind of. No, I can make them both reach. However, can I Misty Step up here? I can. Trying to keep him back so I don't get disadvantage on this attack. Can I see the war drum? I cannot. Wow. Again. A 2 and a 3. I love this game. Well, I guess we'll just go in order here. That's 2, 3, 4. Can you roll a 5 here, please? Oh no, I rolled a 15 there.
Make way.
Sometimes the only way out is through.
And there's nothing for my bard to do. Come up and hit the drum.
Swift and lethal. This is your end.
Another 3. Alright, so we're going to remove concentration on both of my AoE spells, and now I can group everybody
No,
back up.
Never mind.
That's right. No one left, no reinforcements left to come in. We already killed them earlier, so. So where are we with carry weight? So a little bit on Will
The pride of the gate.
and Astarion.
Danger. No
Okay.
good will come of devouring a gay worm, no matter what you might think.
She's upset about the fact that we upped our abilities there.
Mark my words.
This power would be no blessing, but a curse. You might as well ask me to gouge out my eyes for the promise of sight, or slice off my tongue for the promise of taste. Consume all the gate tadpoles you wish. I'm not so craven.
Okay, so here comes your first opportunity to try and convince your other party members of some of the abilities. And some of these abilities could be very useful for our frontline melee characters to have. You see, I have a huge number of bonuses here on my Persuasion skill now as a bard. So if we try the Persuasion check, it's a DC of 20 against Lae'zel. She obviously is going to have a big racial objection to doing this. Favorable Beginnings is from one of my tadpole powers that we gained earlier. So the first attack roll or ability check you make against any target gains a bonus equal to your proficiency bonus. So I've got a +3 to this ability check against her, and then my proficiency and expertise. And I can add in a guidance here. And now I'm up to a 14 to 17 bonus. So now your DC 20s don't really bother you nearly as much anymore.
Perhaps you... No, that's absurd. When the tadpole has stretched to every pore and slithered through every vein, what am I to do then? It won't hear my screams. It won't care if I beg. I will be remade in its image. My faith in Vlaakith will guide me, and my own might will sustain me. I have no need of this depraved power.
Okay, so again, more persuasion checks. Now we're going to lose that +3 bonus from Favorable Beginnings, right? Because it only applies to the first check that you have each time. But our DC is thankfully gone down here, so the only way I can fail it's with a nat 1.
You might be right. The Githyanki have long studied Geich and used what we've learned. The Zaithisk itself was devised from such knowledge. The tadpole is perhaps not just a curse, but a weapon I can twist and mold to my advantage. Very well. I will swallow my disgust and avail myself of the parasite's powers.
Okay, so again, the Illithid powers can take some persuading,
Pride of the gate,
so to speak, to get there. And everybody has more positive or negative feelings toward it as we go. However, for your frontline melee characters, Favorable Beginnings is just so useful with that +3 for that first attack roll against any target that you make. So it's +3 now because of our proficiency bonus being what it is. So this is incredibly useful for her, and then the ability to have Luck of the Far Realms to turn that attack roll into a crit is also incredibly useful for her. So that's why I was saving those two tadpoles, and so that I now have 3 people who were able to get that +3 bonus to attack the first attack rolls and the ability to trigger Luck of the Far Realms. And we want to make sure that everybody's reactions are all ask here.
What now?
Eager for battle.
Okay. So that Luck of the Far
Really?
Realms
Despite
is
everything.
always being asked.
The pride of the gate.
And we're just going to do our quick searching, picking up camp supplies, that sort of stuff, and then we can get out of here. Okay, so Will's finally reached that point. He's still encumbered. That should do it.
Watch your back. Go.
And now with everybody dead, we have the opportunity to move up here and search some of these other items. Or these other locations that we weren't able to search previously. And we've already maneuvered our way up there. Yes, we already had that encounter. Okay. So, the Goblin Camp, with one notable exception, has been cleared out, as we talked about. I'm thinking here how I want to approach the rest of the stream here. Okay, because I need to sell off my items. But if I go back to, well, I guess we can go back to the Emerald Grove and see what's happened now and just delay a portion of it.
Best be on my way.
Okay. And just to kind of illustrate the Song of Rest as an action here.
Enough time wasted. Battle awaits.
All of my bardic inspirations come back.
Right at the ready.
Will's spell slots are back. Everybody's got their hit points back from as if it was a short rest. And
Checking things out.
that's the power that the bard has when you get up to this level.
On my feet.
And remember, if you're using your warlock spell slots for Divine Smite, those warlock spell slots just completely came back, and you're able to reuse all your Divine Smites. So, having a bard synergizing with a Hexblade Paladin can really up your sustained damage output. Okay, so we'll go in here and you can see immediately right off the bat that things have changed.
Zevlor, by Delt's virtue, the Blade of Frontiers? What's happened, Will?
I paid the price of angering the wrong devil.
Believe me, I understand better than most.
A moment passes as Zevlor contemplates Will's words. He then turns his attentions to you.
A scout just reported. The Goblin's leadership has been decimated. We might escape this place yet. And I hear you are the one to thank. I'm grateful. I took a collection from all of us. It isn't much, but you've earned it. It's not enough, but it's all we have.
Halsin will likely want to thank you too, mind. He returned just a while ago. I believe he's catching up with Kagha. As for us...
No armies at our heels. Amazing. We can finally leave. But perhaps we need not speak of farewells. We'll join your camp tonight to celebrate if you'll have us.
Okay, so we want to delay this for a little bit. Okay, we're going to complete a few things here. We did get another inspiration, even though we don't need it. So, going through our quest log again here, we didn't get or go through the priestess gut allowing her to try and cure us thing. We need to talk to Halsin now that he's back. We defeated the goblins. The tieflings are ready to leave. This quest will complete after we celebrate at the camp, and here just talking to Halsin again will complete this. We freed Volo. He's going to be back at our camp waiting for us. This was the memory that we saw from Shadowheart of her as a child. We'll explore more of that coming up when we get into or past the After Dark. And the Save the Refugees will complete again after we go to camp and have our party. But we want to go through here and leave them here for now because we need to sell off items. And you know, they changed this actually. Damon the Smith has moved, and I can never remember where he is. He used to be up here, but he's not in this group anymore. So let's head down here and talk to Aaron. And I'll go check down there, but normally at this point he's not down there anymore.
So it's true. You scattered the goblins. Peace can finally return to this corner of the Sword Coast. Thank you. As am I. And I'm sure those poor refugees would quite agree. Of course.
Okay, thanks everybody in chat for commenting on it. That was something that had changed. In early access, he was no longer at his forge. He was up there at that group on the hill. And then when I came through on my personal playthrough, I went up there and he wasn't there anymore. And I had just forgotten where he was. And it looks like they've made it less confusing now by leaving him back down at his forge, so that you know where he's at instead of having to find him up there. Because I think a lot of people thought that he just disappeared because they didn't go search up there on top of the hill to find him. So it's good to know that he's down there. So we're going to go ahead and get rid of high-priced items here again. Okay, and just resorting his inventory. I'm actually going to pick up another scale mail +1 here. Oh, never mind. I've got one already still here. Good. So let's go through here and just sell off items here. And we'll sell off starting with the heavy stuff. Okay, get rid of all these shields. Now we can start on the armors. This is going to take up a lot of money, especially... Okay. So now he's out. And it looks like there was another misclick on there. So I'll go get rid of those. So is there anything... I think her armor is good. Let's see if there's any more dyes we want to pick up. Interesting ones. Looks like it's greens and blues. Nothing really interesting in here, I don't think. So there is ringmail +2. She's got chainmail +1, which is 17, and this is 16. It does look better. Ringmail always looks cooler. Okay, so we have padded +2. Or padded +1. And now we'll have to dye that because that looks horribly ugly. Okay. Alright, so that gets us down to a good spot here. Can I sell off anything else? Don't need the bone. Or the bottle. Or the skull. Okay.
May you keep balance.
So for Lae'zel, we did evidently have a misclick here. Yep. Couple of them, it seems. Alright, so let's head back down here to his forge.
Seen everything.
Sell off the last of our items, see if there's any more dyes here. Yeah, just couldn't remember where he was now. That's good that they put him down here. It's less confusing. It's just more confusing for me, who was used to him being up there on the hill for all of my early access playthroughs.
You saved us. I wasn't sure we'd make it through. I wish I had better, but this is all I have.
A purple dye, yellow, and ocean. Boy, these are horrible. I guess I could walk around looking like I'm a Twitch streamer here. Okay, so let's just start going through them again. I do have the option here of bartering with him for these low-cost items here. Don't give away Scratch's ball. Okay, so yeah, just getting rid of some of these. Astarion in pink dye in the hat. Yeah, I can certainly see how he would probably appreciate that more than anything else. Getting approval with Damon is recommended at this point. I'm not going to cause any spoilers. Okay, so yeah, the shields are low items. Okay, so we're getting there. Just want to take a quick look through everybody and see. Whoops. One of the things I don't like about Baldur. This is something that's popped up since one of the hot fixes, where the inventories sometimes don't auto-sort themselves when you start the bartering dialogue. So what you actually double-click on is not what is actually going into the barter screen, and it gets really annoying if you forget about it. It doesn't, Eric. There's a reason. There's a reason why getting approval with, well, we already know the reason. Getting approval with traders gives you better prices for both selling and buying. However, a lot of the traders here in Act 1, once you progress to a certain point, you're not going to be able to come back and deal with them again, like Aaron. I've got full approval with him, but it doesn't matter, because once I get out of Act 1, I'm not going to be able to come back here and trade with him again. That is not necessarily the case with every trader that you meet in Act 1. So if you can increase your attitude with them now, then if you meet them later, you just are able to sell more expensive items at full price later on. Okay, so I think I can just get rid of most of this stuff here, regardless anymore. Okay. Okay, so we're getting just about to that point. And again, just trying to up his reputation or his attitude a bit slowly here. And using the many lower priced items that I have. To do it. Okay, so now I think we're at a point where we can just start selling everything. His attitude is 89, so I guess I do still have a little bit ways to go here. Okay, so now he's at 100. So now I can just sell off the rest here. Making sure I don't double click too fast and accidentally sell off something I don't want to. Okay. And I think that's it. Okay, so let's quickly go through our... There it is. Our patched together sack. You get Wapira's crown and some other items here. So Wapira's crown is another one of those healer-centric items. Whenever you heal somebody else, you also gain hit points. Comparing that to the Cap of Curing, this is obviously your bard, based item. They both have their place for a support casting character. However, especially with the amount of bardic inspirations that I have now, with being able to have 16 of them per long rest, being able to cure, basically cure wounds with every one of those castings is much more useful than Wapira's crown is for me. But it is still something, very useful for your cleric type characters especially. So I also picked up the Line Breaker's boots. So the Line Breaker's boots are once per turn. When you dash, you gain Wrath for 2 turns. No, we talked about, we had the Line Breaker's boots. It wasn't the Line Breaker's boots that we picked up, was it? Or was it that we picked up off of... Remind me, chat. I'm starting to lose my mind. Which of the other magical items that we picked up that we hadn't talked about yet?
Eager for battle.
Okay, I think it was the Line Breaker's boots.
What a day.
Okay, yeah. I guess it was. I just feel like I was having deja vu, like I had talked about the Line Breaker's boots previously and hadn't. But the Line Breaker's boots, whenever you dash, you gain Wrath. Oh yeah, and the Warg Blade, correct. You gain Wrath for 2 turns. Wrath is a +1 bonus damage to melee weapons. The Line Breaker's boots are rare clothing. They are not armor. So if you have somebody who dashes a lot and then gets into melee, it can be a good thing to use. So here I'd be trading off an additional movement speed bonus or melee damage with Astarion if I use them. Here I would be trading off getting lightning charges, which is bonus damage, and athletics to be able to get +1 bonus damage. So for either case, it's 6 of one, half dozen the others. Other on my playthrough here, it's not going to be something that I'm going to be really focused on utilizing. And then we did pick up the Warg Blade, or Warg Fang. Warg Fang is a really cool item that would be a lot more useful if you played the Goblin Camp differently. It's a dagger, so it's light and finesse. You can use it in your offhand. Goblins have disadvantage on attack rolls against the wielder. So if you throw this onto Astarion, or you throw it onto even a sword and board character with just, 1d4 primary damage, you're just not going to be able to get hit by goblins. Disadvantage is so powerful anyway. You throw that onto as a primary weapon, carrying a shield to up your armor class by 2 more, and they're having to roll 19 to hit you, and they have disadvantage on that attack roll. So it's incredibly useful. So it would just come in, how many goblins are you going to see in Acts 2 and 3? And no spoilers. But yeah, it's a lot more useful if you can get that at the start of the Goblin Camp. So if you just go down there and rush Halsin, then you can pick the blade up early. However, Halsin then becomes part of your party. Everybody is then instantly hostile to you, and the whole Goblin Camp plays out a lot differently. So things can get a little bit different if you're playing it that way and rushing it like that. Okay, so I've pretty much got my carry weights down to something that's somewhat more respectable here. So we talked about what we still have left, and that is the entire wetlands area down here. We opened up this area down here for the Kagha quest. We're going to be heading down here. Chat's frozen again. Thanks, Philip, for mentioning that. Still haven't been able to isolate why it's doing that. So here I think what we're going to do is go down into the Emerald Grove and have the conversations with Halsin. And then we will look at heading out toward
with haste.
Toward the Sunlit Wetlands. But we do want to make sure that we have these conversations down here with Halsin and Kagha.
Sylvanas, you took it upon yourself to undertake the Rite of Thorns. I ought to exile you from this place forever. Instead, I shall listen to the explanation that you owe me.
An error most grave, Master. I beg your grace.
Grace is bestowed by nature, not me. You will stay as a novice anew. You have forgotten the ways of the druids, the natural order of things. It is up to you to prove the lessons have been learned once more.
So as you say. And so it is done, Master.
She shows great insolence. But time will humble her. And the Grove still needs her. You will soon see why. But enough of that for now. I owe you my thanks. The Grove stands. Nature prevails. And again, I am in your debt. Speak to Wrath. He will reward you for your efforts. Tomorrow morning, we shall discuss what is to come.
In the shadows. May Sylvanas forgive me.
At least you recognize your mistake.
Okay, so the Rescue Druid Halsin quest again, tells us to talk to Wrath. And then this is also updated with talking to Wrath. And then tomorrow morning, we're going to have to talk to him again. But that tomorrow morning is going to take place after our camp rest, and we don't want to have that camp rest yet. And you can talk to Kagha.
Something's on my mind.
Sylvanas keep you.
Doesn't have anything to say, so let's talk to Wrath.
You've done it. You brought Halsin back. Thank you. No, thanks is not enough. May Sylvanas bless you for all your days. I cannot imagine taking on a camp full of goblins was a simple task. As am I. The grove will be whole again. And I promised you a reward, didn't I? Let me show you on your map where you can find the cache. Take this rune. You'll need it. Place it among the pedestals inside our library. When the wolf glows brightest, everything in the vault below will be yours. I was blind not to see
Okay,
it.
so he asks us to go into their library, and he's given me the rune of the wolf. Okay, so we now have the opportunity to go pick up our reward, so to speak, from the vault entrance. So the vault entrance is here through Nettie's little area here, and you can talk to Nettie again. You can see the bird has healed itself, so it's good. And
Defender of the people.
I do have
Let's chew the fat.
speak with animals.
Wing's still a little stiff, but I'm getting stronger.
Okay, you can talk to Nettie as well.
Blessed day. I was worried I'd never see Master Halsin again. Thank you for everything you've done. I don't know if I can ever restore Sylvanas' peace to this place, but I'll have the chance. Thanks to you.
Okay, so she gives us a pouch here that has some camp supplies and a crafting material in it.
What to do? Swift as my feet can carry me.
And then we're going to head into the library here. Remember, we noticed previously that there's an empty rune socket over here. Okay, and now if you go around and interact with all of the runes, they will activate and glow. And the vault entrance is now opened up. However, before you go, don't forget to pick up these bullywug trumpets. Bullywug trumpets are good for antidotes. And there should be mugworts over here as well, if I'm not mistaken. Yes. There are some other items that you can now read that are in here. Nothing really big, just some lore items. You're going to find out much more about Ketheric later on as we go through this. Alright, so heading down here into the hidden vault, holding left alt. Again, more lore here, learning about the Harpers, the Shadow Druids, the Dark Justiciars, the Order of Again, there's a lot of lore here, which, for the Forgotten Realms, for you to look through and read through. Here's where you get the majority of your potions of animal speaking. So we get another Wyvern Toxin, which is good. Okay, this is where they had requested oh no, this is what was sent to the Druids. And we get the Robe of Summer. So, this grants resistance to cold damage. Nothing really special, but it is something that you can put on if you know you're going to be walking into an encounter with cold damage in it. And last here we have is Sorrow. Now, Sorrow is a glaive, so it's two-handed and it has extra reach. And it comes with Sorrowful Lash, or it is +1. It comes with Sorrowful Lash. This is a cantrip that pulls... It's like Thorn Whip. It pulls targets towards you. Which, for the glaive, as an effect on or a cantrip that the glaive allows you to cast, is rather interesting. Normally, glaives are put together with like Polearm Master and another feat that goes along with it that allows you to lock your enemies in place so that you can retreat away from them. Having this draw enemies in to you is kind of interesting, but again is situationally useful, not to the point where I really deal with it in my playthroughs. I haven't found it to be overly useful in mine. So, but feel free to experiment with it and see what you would like. And as Eric said, some people consider this to be a little bit lacking in rewards, considering what you had to do to get it, and that sort of stuff. So, but everyone can make their own decisions. Okay, so from here, actually, we need to get out of here first. Well, we can just head off from here. We can fast travel from here. Okay, so for the last 15 minutes, we're going to work our way down here into the Sunlit Wetlands, deal with a couple of look-around encounters here at the very start, and that's going to set us up for next week to clear out the rest of the wetlands and adventure into the Teahouse. Once we do that, once we get a little ways into the Teahouse, we're definitely going to have to take our long rest because our spell economy is going to get a little low on the bard side. We still do have a short rest available to us, so Will will still be able to get his spell slots back one more time. But we're going to postpone that long rest here for a little bit and continue on. So we're going to head out to the south here.
At the ready.
Okay, and we're going to start holding left alt as we go here, because we won't have really explored a lot of this area down here.
Maybe I need more pockets.
Okay, we did have the encounter here as we came through this area while we were making our way over to the old grove over here. So we did have the encounter with Auntie Ethel here. We've already gone through our perception check, and we did not pass that perception check. So we're just seeing the Sunlit Wetlands here. We already did go up here and, yep, take all of those items, it looks like. We've looked at the loving note before. So, have a bite on me, Auntie Ethel. If you search in here, you see juicy apples. Now, what's different about the juicy apples is that they're not camp supplies. They're not regular apples, and that should be a clue that these aren't normal things here. And now, again, just as we've done in the past, we're going to be very careful here as we go through this, because this is just a stupid amount of
Still alive.
traps in here that can cause an immense amount of damage and can end up just killing you if you don't pass the saving throws or gaping wounds. Okay, and this way we've already been. So we're just going to do some exploring on our own a little bit so we don't have to drag everybody through all of those trapped areas. We see the sheep. We'll come back and talk to them here in a minute. And again, just opening up the map and holding Alt as I go. Okay, so I failed that perception check.
Watch the shadows.
So we'll try this with Astarion and Guidance. And he failed it as well. Oh, rolling a 2. Nice. Okay, I rolled a 14. And only rolled a 1 on Guidance. So nobody else is going to have a great chance of passing this, especially at DC 20. There's one of those traps I was talking to you about. But we might as well try it and see. No. Come back here.
A hero at heart. 2 steps at a time.
And again, avoiding all of those low water spots. Yeah, that's, I guess I can look at that.
Blood. No, never mind.
Option. But okay, so interesting. to see how that works. Okay. So he gets Scratch's sniff. That's actually pretty good. Scratch and sniff. You guys might be, all of you might be too young to know what scratch and sniff is. That might just be an old person thing. I don't know if they still have scratch and sniff items or not. Okay, so Scratch doing that, I guess, lends more credibility to the whole you can just randomly click on a shovel and dig somewhere thing. So I guess, Peter, that's probably a good idea. So Scratch, as part of Scratch's ball, whoever is able to summon Scratch, Scratch finds things that are near you, and that ability pops up and says he found something nearby. So I guess that, from a DM's perspective, from a tabletop perspective, if you had a familiar who was able to sniff out hidden items, that makes the idea of randomly clicking on your shovel and digging more palatable to me, instead of just failing the perception check. So that's pretty good that he, and you can even triangulate it, it looks like, because he's pointing right at it, and while he was here he was pointing this way, so you could actually get him into two different locations and triangulate where that object is. It's just there must be a cooldown on Scratch's sniff ability in between the time that it does.
Time to rest.
I love my chat. But yeah, I guess that makes it, like I say, much more palatable to me to be able to find these chests without passing the perception check. So as long as Scratch is with me and I'm using it, then I guess it's not that big a deal for me. So
The brothers. I guess they didn't find their sister.
yeah, good idea, Peter. Thanks for reminding me about summoning Scratch.
A seasoned killer's work.
So here are the brothers that we encountered. So Demir is here.
The corpse regards you lifelessly.
Wasn't a sheep. Heard her screaming, but not real. Don't drink the water. Mom, Joel, Mayrina, and soon a niece. Gotta get Mayrina back for Mom.
The spell's power wanes. You can ask no more questions.
Okay, so picked up some more information here about the swamp area that we're in, and learned that these are not sheep.
Where am I needed? Best foot forward. A word, if I may.
The sheep's voice warbles. you realize it's trying to say bar.
Bar.
Curious. Despite your magic, the creature doesn't understand you.
There are the rolls we're expecting. We're full on inspirations. Ooh, this is gonna be fun. Okay, I was expecting to fail it 2 more times.
The smell of rot assaults your senses as the illusion vanishes. A diminutive creature sporting a red hat glares at you. He seems unaware that his illusion has failed.
Okay, so you have some options to try and attack the red caps now, if you would like. This is the way that you dispel the illusion if you failed the perception check when you came into the swamp. It says that he's unaware his illusion has failed, so if you just take a deep breath and say, "Bah," they're unaware that their illusion has failed. So if you talk to them, they're going to realize that the illusion's broken and they're going to attack, and you're going to be kind of not positioned and or prepared for the attack here. And these red caps hit really, really hard. You do not want to go into that encounter not being prepared for it. So it's not a great idea to let them know that you've seen through their illusion here. Okay, so we're over here in this area, and we're going to end up clearing out some more areas of exploration here and have another encounter up near the Teahouse up here. But we are not going to do that until next week. We do want to give everybody a little break here, so we're not going to go long today. We want to give everybody a little break before we start the Paladin live stream here in a little bit. And yeah, Eric, you certainly can. If you want to do it now by preparing yourself and separating them out a little bit and that sort of stuff, you certainly can. You just do not want to get attacked while you're in that dialogue. And you're not set up for it. It can go very, very badly for you. So just as a reminder, starting in an hour, we will have the Paladin live stream, and I want to give everybody a little break here to get ready for that. So we're going to end the live stream here, and next week, like I said, we're going to pick up continuing on toward and clear out the exterior of the Teahouse. Then we're going to have our long rest and get the party out of the way before we venture down into the treehouse and have our encounter with Auntie Ethel. So that's all going to be next week, and you're going to get a preview of that on the Paladin live stream coming up here in a little bit. So with that, I'd like to thank everyone for joining me today. Without your support, as always, none of this would be possible. This is Commander Jorval saying until next time, in an hour, fare thee well.